What's up, YouTube people? Ben with Brush and Bolter back again with another video. I know it's been a while. I always say it's been a while. But with that said, I have a video today, and I've also recorded 2 other videos that will go up in the future, so I have stuff for y'all to watch in the future. Today, though, I'm going over AOS missions and how they kind of work and better understand them, starting with our basic one, Border War. Now, let's get into it. So if we get ourselves a General's Handbook 2024-2025, which is the current one, until the 2025-2026 one comes out in roughly 2 months. But for now, this is what we got. And we go to the battle plan section. Very first one, the generic one everyone knows and loves, or hates, is Border War. Border War, all the mission plans, mind you, come in 2 pages, 1, 2. On this half, it'll show you the actual attackers and defenders territory, where the objectives are, as well as the twist, or what 40K would know as the mission rule, as well as how you score your points and adding them up. On this half of the page, we also still have attacker defender territory, they're just not labeled, as well as the objective markers, but we have the terrain layout. Now, just like in 40K where you have terrain layouts in match play, so you can have standard layouts that are symmetrical, same thing in AOS, except the terrain itself is slightly different and less technically less competitive, but more fun in my opinion. It also tells you what type of terrain you can place and what the corresponding keyword that those terrain have. Right, so for Border War, let's look at this for an example. We have attacker-defender territory. Now in 40K, the defender sets up first, but in AOS, the attacker sets up first. With some reasoning behind as to why you would actually want to go and deploy first, unlike in 40K, which you generally want to go second, with the exception of like infiltrators and things like that. So, you know, there's reasons to go first and second, both, mind you. But with that said, our mission rule, or the twist for this, is always the same. That goes for every battle plan. The twist and the way to earn points are always the same if it's the same mission or battle plan. This twist is the victory points scored by each player from controlling objectives are capped at a max of 6 per turn, which are generally the same for every battle plan. And you add 1 to hit rolls for units in the underdogs, which is a key word, army, if they charge this turn and are contesting the objective wholly within enemy territory. So let's say you are the current player and you are the defender. This is your territory. So that means if you are the underdog, which means you are behind on points by any amount, you are now the underdog starting on turn 2 and forward, unless it changes, of course. And you would get reroll, or you could add 1 to hit rolls if you are contesting this objective, right? Because it has to be wholly within enemy territory. These are on the border, i.e. Border War. This is wholly within yours. Therefore, this objective, you would add 1 to hit rolls so long as your units are contesting it, aka if they're on it, right? Pretty standard, nothing special, nothing crazy, pretty good though. The actual way to earn points says each player scores victory points at the end of their turns as follows. In AOS, it's always at the end of your turn versus at the end of your command phase, like in 40K. So at the end of your turn, you score 1 victory point if you control the objective wholly within friendly territory, in this case, wholly within your territory. And you score 2 victory points for each objective marker on the border of friendly territory, these 2 here. And then lastly, you would score 5 victory points if you control the objective wholly within enemy territory. So the enemy one, surprisingly enough, is the most point worthy. Lastly, you get 4 victory points if you score your battle tactic at the end of your turn. Now, battle tactics are a secondary thing, kind of like your secondary mission. A little different, a little worse, and they're making some changes to that with the next General's Handbook, which I'm excited to see. But this is the same for every battle plan, no matter what. These ones might change, these first 3, but the 4 for battle tactic is the same throughout. We get to this side here, we have the terrain layout, and we have the key of what terrain pieces are. So these large ones here we see on the picture as a medium-sized terrain or obstacle. Now, terrain or obstacle is something that you or the TO, like you two, the opponents, or the TO will designate prior to the game starting if it's an area terrain or an obstacle, right? But you know these 2 things have to be a medium area terrain or obstacle, right? Now these 2 small ones in the middle here, again, are going to be a small area terrain or obstacle. So in this case, if I was TO, I would say these 2 are going to be area terrains versus these 2 are going to be obstacles, right? And on obstacle, I mean, for this thing, I would use this hunk of junk right here, right? This giant wall, obviously, clearly an obstacle. And for the area terrain, I'd use something similar to this, which, yes, this part is large and in the way, but you have this all circular piece around it as well. Next up, we got these two on the end. These guys are going to be small places of power. Places of power have their own special rules we'll get to eventually. Moving on, we have these two are the last ones here, which are going to be medium obscuring terrain. Now, each of these, area terrain, obstacle, obscuring terrain, place of power, are also up here, which they tell you what that actually means. So we have an area terrain. The examples are here, and they tell us that the terrain ability grants you cover. And AOS cover means that your opponent has -1 to hit you, whereas in 40k it's +1 to your save, right? That's a distinct difference and something you do not want to confuse, right? Obstacle is next up. Again, some examples, as well as the terrain ability is cover, same as area, except it also comes with unstable. Unstable means you cannot move past it or end on it unless it's less than 1 inch in height. Correction, you can move past it, but you cannot end on it or be set up onto a piece of terrain that is more than 1 inch in height. Okay. Next up is obscuring terrain. Again, examples as well as terrain abilities. Cover, obscuring, and unstable. I guess I can show you a bit better. Cover, obscuring, and stable. So cover, obscuring, and unstable. So we know cover and unstable. Obscuring means it blocks line of sight if you are wholly behind or wholly within. And then lastly, place of power gives you cover, place of power, and unstable. We already know what cover is. We know what unstable is, but place of power is something unique. Alrighty, page 90 in the General's Handbook and the core rules gives us what the place of power is. Now it says at the start of any turn, which is the start of every turn, you declare a friendly hero within 3 inches of the place of power to use the ability. The effect, you roll a dice. On a 1, you take D3 mortal damage on the hero, but on a 2+, if you have wizard or priest, you add 1 to the casting rolls or chanting rolls for that hero, which is pretty good, +1 to casting or chanting. If that hero is not a wizard or priest, you can use the unbind or banish ability, banish manifestation ability this turn if they had wizard 1, which means you can unbind 1 spell or you could banish 1 spell. Surprising, it says unbind or banish. You'd think it had unbind and banish because they are separate. Banishing does not take up a spell slot or an unbind slot, but I guess it's just dependent. If it is your turn, you can banish. If it is your opponent's turn, you can unbind, right? Because you cannot banish in your opponent's turn. But that is the objective layouts. That is the best way I know of to break down the battle plans and how to best explain it. Obviously, there are more things to it that you may have questions about. If so, just leave them in the comments below. I'll get to them surely. With that said, if you found anything helpful, give it a like. If you want to see future videos like the 2 I mentioned I made, go ahead and subscribe. You'll see them in the future. Anyway, thanks for watching.